Okay. Hi, welcome to SLP 214, Module 3. This is Introduction to Phonetic Transcription. Super important for the rest of the course. Why? Because we're going to become investigators, looking at typical speech and comparing it to atypical speech. And in order to do that, we have to transcribe to be able to compare, right? So with this, we are looking at taking those concepts of the IPA and applying them to words. We're going to start today. I'll go through some of the information, and then I also have some practice for us to do together, and that will look similar to the quiz, but obviously not the same questions as the quiz. Um, so, one big thing I think that I don't know I mentioned last week was that vowels are impacted by accent. And I think this is very interesting. And it's a point that we bring up a little bit in this week's lecture, just because I don't think it's something that we realize all of the time as just regular English speakers. So, for example, I am originally from New Jersey. Both of my parents are from New York. In college, I got made fun of a lot for my accent, and then I was a linguistics undergrad, and then I became an SLP, right? So I moved to Arizona. I needed to, not needed, I wanted to change my accent at that point. So now it's a lot more neutralized, but there are some differences in my speech that I don't always recognize. So, for example, dog. I say it more like a New Yorker without thinking, or a person from New Jersey. The other one that my assistant pointed out to me while we were having this conversation is orange and orange. I do not hear a difference between the two, if I'm being honest. I know I've made two different sounds because she told me I do. I don't hear a difference due to my accent. So there are some vowels like that where you might have some differences in dialect that are impacted overall. And I just find that to be so interesting. Um, this week we talk a lot more about our vowels again. Let me make sure one thing that'll help you during this lecture is having your IPA cheat sheet readily available to you. So if you want to take a moment to pull that up. The first sound that I wanted to make sure to go over is in our vowels, because I think it's a little bit harder of a sound to understand the differences between. So we have right here, we have ah as in hot, which is a short sound. And then we have ah as in caught, which is a longer sound. The difference is the feeling of that sound. And ah as this little a written is a short sound, right? So think about opt, other, ok, right? Very short. But then when we come down to this backward C sound, right, it sounds very similar, but we're looking at more like words like k, ought, b, ought, and it's longer in your word. I always say it almost feels like a diphthong for how long it stays in your mouth. It is not a diphthong, but the length in your mouth feels a little bit more like if you were saying a diphthong such as I, right? It just feels a little longer in your mouth, and that's a way to know the difference between the two. I will say you're going to mix them up, and that's okay. It's not going to impact too much for you, but understanding the difference between the two is very important. The other one that comes up as a harder sound to understand the two differences is our ers. So our backwards three versus our schwa right? The difference between these is the emphasis on the word. So if we listen to bird, heard, curd, and then you listen to mother, herder, curler, right? If the emphasis is on your that means that it is your backwards three R. Okay, when we say mother, we come up at the When we say bird, we come up at the bird when you're saying it. again, this is another one. It's a small nuance. It's something for you to understand overall that's harder. And it's a fun thing we do in English with our mouths. Um, so yeah, I wanted to make sure to hit on both of those. They're also within the lecture, but I think it's fun to talk about.
I'm
The
sorry.
lectures both, yes.
You said we emphasize on the it's on our back what?
Sorry, I think you either cut out or I didn't hear everything you said. Can you say it again?
You said when we emphasize on the it's because we're using the back part of what?
It's not because we're using the back part of anything. It's more because of the way that we say it in English. So you bird, you hear that our sound come up in our word, and that means you're stressing that, and that's your emphasis. When we say mother, we come up with the and then the is towards the bottom of it, right? With your emphasis. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank
Okay,
you.
no problem. Sorry, your name is coming up as OTI
I'm
20.
Yesenia.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Nice to
Or
see
hear from you.
you.
Thank you. Um, wouldn't that be funny if a random just came in and asked a good question? Um, the videos this week that we're learning from, they have a lot of information and it can feel overwhelming. Take your time. Take a breath while you're doing it, right? Don't feel overwhelmed. This is all things that you've done before, but we're teaching it and we're teaching you how to think about it, right? So nothing about this is something you cannot do. Um, for your assignment this week, you're asked to submit in a Word document your transcriptions of 20 words from English to IPA. This is credit, no credit, right? So that means that as long as you do it, you get credit for it. So try your best. In order to do this, what you want to do is first, like we've talked about before, switch your brain from thinking about letters, because it is written, to thinking about the way the word is produced, the way the sounds are produced in your mouth. Okay. So first thing you're going to do is say the word out loud. So our first word in this assignment is plant, right? So we're going to say the word out loud, plant. I'm going to say it again, plant. I'm going to really feel my mouth as I'm saying it, plant. Okay. Now I'm going to segment the sounds, which means we're going to separate them. P, o, e, n, t, p, e, n, t. Okay. P. Feel my lips. P, o, and t. And then that's how I'm going to write it. Now for your vowels, the way to do this best is to take your cheat sheet, especially at first, and run through all of your vowels. So you ready? With plant, I have my first one is I, not the right sound. B, a, t, a, not the right sound. T, k, not the right sound. B, o, oo, I, and p, o, and plant. B, at, o, and close but not. Ot, hot. Oh no, I went past it already. See, it's this one overall, right? Because that's the sound. B, at, p, o, ant, at, ah. So you want to go through and really listen to each of the sounds when you're making them to compare to your IPA cheat sheet, especially for your vowels. Another one that trips people up is the X. X, the letter X. What sound does it make? How would you write that in a transcription? You can write it in the chat how you would write it in the transcription.
We just actually read something about that and it's two sounds.
Yes, it's two sounds. Do you know which two sounds?
K and s.
Atta girl. Who are you, 16236?
It's Nuvia.
Hi. Great job, right? So it's k, s.
right.
Great job. The other one that I think about that sometimes we have a harder time with is Q. What sounds do you put together to produce the written letter Q? Because Q is not an IPA symbol.
I was actually bored and looked up the longest phoneme, and I think it's 3 or 4 letters. It's K, E, or I don't remember exactly, but it's quite a few, I
Intriguing.
think. U.
Q would be K, like K, w,
Okay. K, well,
qu,
okay.
like queen. K, w.
Okay.
And I can really feel it when I make the sound queen, queen. Right. So again, that's how we have to switch off our spelling brain and work into our what is my mouth doing brain overall. So thinking about that is a good idea for all of you. Trying to think of any other letters. There is no C in the IPA, right? C makes two sounds in the English language. It's S or K in a word, right? So remembering that. So again, switch off your spelling brain and really think about what is your mouth doing and making those sounds out loud. When I am usually transcribing, my husband sits next to me and he is from the Midwest, so very neutral accent. And I drive myself insane every once in a while trying to figure out which vowel it is, right? And I'll have him say it, I'll say it, he says it. We go back and forth so that I try and hear it often. Um, it's hard and you can drive yourself crazy. Just remember, vowels are the hardest part of writing in the IPA. The consonants, the hard part is turning off your brain from thinking about spelling. Um, I also wanted to make sure everyone saw this website. It's called ipa.typeit.org. I'm going to send it out as well, but I want to make sure we can see what it looks like. So on here, we can write and use all of our different symbols that don't come up on your typical keyboard, and then you can copy and paste them into your assignments. Some of you, I already messaged you this, but I'm going to make sure it's part of our week's email too. For me, I prefer doing it this way. We also have a way to put it into a Word document and utilize symbols in a Word document. I find this to be the most effective and just quickest, easiest way to do it, but I'll make sure that both get sent out. Um, okay, so if you're going to do the quiz, make sure you're ready to read and produce transcriptions. And in order to do this, I thought it would be fun to practice. So I'm going to send out a link in the chat. This is called Mentimeter. It's a website I found that you don't have to enter your name. Everything is anonymous, which is fun. And we get to do like a little quiz. So I'm going to start my presentation. And then let me know if anyone has a hard time signing in. Four people joined.
Are we just supposed to send a comment on there or?
Oh, no, if you click on it, it'll send you to a website and then you'll be able to submit answers if you want. You can just watch if
Oh,
that is your best way of learning. But if you want to like play with it,
oh,
um,
I didn't see the link. I scanned the QR. Okay.
okay, so for our transcription, first we need to understand the number of sounds in a word. So let's do some practice. Okay, how many sounds in the word cat? Think you should be able to follow along on your own device and respond on yours. So we have two as an option. We have some people who said three. Overall, the correct answer is three. Let's go through it together in the word cat. So I'm going to say it to myself. Cat. K, a, t, k, a, t. Three sounds in the word cat. Next one. How many sounds in the word leaf? Leaf. Okay. We have some twos and some threes. Ready? O, E, F. O, E, F. O, E, F. Leaf. Three sounds in the word leaf. This is another one that has four letters, but three sounds. Let's try another one. How many sounds in mouse? Mouse. All right, let's see. Some threes and some fours. Mm, ow, s, ow, s, mouse, mouse. So three sounds in the word mouse. How many sounds in the word louder? Louder. And take the time, just like you would do on a quiz, right? We talked about it. Say the word to yourself. Louder, louder, louder. Feel what your mouth is doing, and then count those sounds. Let's see. We have some fours and some fives. O, ow, d, Four sounds in louder. Remember that sound? In that one would be our schwar, that upside down E with a little tail. That would be our schwar. So four sounds. How many sounds in the word bread? Bread. Okay, let's check. We have some threes and some fours. Bread. Br, e, d. B, e, d. Four sounds in bread. How many sounds in pencil? Really feel in your mouth what sounds you're making too. Let's see. Okay, we have some fours, some fives, some sixes. Yes, this is a hard one. I sat there and counted it myself multiple times. Pencil, pencil. Make sure you're feeling in your mouth what your mouth is doing. Um, so, eh, n, s, o, eh, n, o. Five sounds. That I is a little sneaky in there, right? Because it makes you think that you're saying pence ill. We're not saying pence ill. And think about, feel how your mouth changes from the s to the o sound in there. It goes right from one to another when you're saying the word naturally. So five sounds. How many sounds in hammer? Hammer. Okay. We have some fours, some three, a three, fours, and a five. You ready? A, m, er. Four sounds in hammer. Hammer. Four sounds. How many sounds in frogs? Frogs. Frogs. Some fours, some fives. Let's do it together. R, a, g, z. Did you hear that last sound I made too? R, a, g, z. Frogs. Right? Say it naturally. You can always say frogs, but does that feel natural in your mouth? Frogs. You keep your voicing on. I'm wrong. It's five. I think I did this one as frog at first. I will correct that. It is five sounds, guys. Um, but the point I want to make with this one too is that that S in spelling, it's there in spelling, but in saying it, when we say it naturally, three green frogs are on a log. We make a Z sound, not a S sound. Do you know why?
Does the G change our the way we move our mouth?
Yes, it doesn't change the way you move your mouth, but you are
Oh,
so right on. G is a voiced sound. As a human, our anatomy is lazy, right? We are lazy, lazy beings. Our voice doesn't want to turn off for no reason, so it doesn't turn off. That G makes it so that the Z sound happens at the end instead of your voice turning off. It would be harder for your voice to turn off and produce the S sound. Z is the sound that you produce at the end of a word after a voiced sound. Great job. Okay, now we can write the words using phonetic transcription. So these are writing. This is writing with your IPA. You might need your IPA website. I'll make sure that is in the chat too. Get that in. Again, this is just my personal favorite way of getting the IPA symbols into things. While everyone's getting that up, I was thinking about the other day in undergrad. I was an undergrad in 2010. I remember doing my thesis paper. And for my thesis, we listened to Korean and had to figure out what the rules of the language were. So you have to transcribe it and figure out the rules. And you're writing a paper the entire semester. And I had a Mac computer. The Mac computers would not allow the program that would let you write the IPA symbols. So I had to go to the library every day because this was a 5 days a week course that I would work on my paper every single day for. And then if I didn't get the same computer, it didn't have the program on it. So then I would have to download the program on another computer and use my little flash drive and then put that in and work on my paper and then download it onto the next computer. Technology is very annoying at times, but also, wow, is this so much easier than what I used to have to do in undergrad? I thought it was amazing the difference that it is and how much easier online learning makes things and how much more accessible it is to use the IPA. So, there's no points. Um, let's see. Hmm, I don't know why. One second, guys. Just as I said, how cool technology is. Hmm. Oh boy. Wow. I don't know why it only gives you 30 seconds, but what is the phonetic transcription for give? Give. So first you're going to segment those sounds. Hear how many sounds are in the word g, I, v. Okay, I know I'm going to write three sounds from the phonetic alphabet. G, g, I, v. So that is our correct answer. Can you guys see the correct answer on there?
Yes.
Good. Okay, thank you. Okay. What is the phonetic transcription for duck? Duck. So again, feel d, uh, d, uh. And it's okay if you're writing this like on a piece of paper and not participating online. No problem. I like writing the IPA much better than typing it. So we have d, uh, k with our vowel. So our first sound is d, which is written like a English letter D. And then our vowel is which would be your upside down triangle or upside down carrot. I think we usually call it a carrot. And then k, right? Some feeling at the end, k, all the way in the back, and I don't turn on my voice. What is the phonetic transcription for game? Game. Oh, it was supposed to be games. Really had a hard time with this, huh? Let me fix that. Games. So this is another one that I really wanted to make sure that we showed that Z sound is different than written S, right? Really remembering to feel your voice when you're saying it and remember to say it naturally. Because if we're sitting here, I can say games, but it feels different in my mouth. I'm really forcing turning off my voice in order to produce that. But if I said, I like to play games, Z is my last sound when I'm saying that. So think about, you might have to sometimes put the word into a sentence in order to really hear all of those sounds because your mouth can do whatever you make it do. What is the phonetic transcription for thumb? Thumb. Okay, so we have our voiceless TH, mm, thumb. Silent B at the end. And then remembering if we're transcribing, if we write t, that's the sound we're making. T, not th. Again, switch your brain from English writing into transcribing. And what is your mouth doing? Okay, next. This is part of our quiz as well. And this is really leading into therapy. So when we do speech therapy and especially like articulation therapy, and phonetics therapy, phonology, we're focusing on producing the sound in different positions of the word, right? So right now we're working on where does this sound occur in words so we can have that base knowledge to then later on say, okay, this person doesn't make their sound, they make it sloshy, like a sh. Where are we going to work on it? Do they do it at the beginning, the middle, the end? Oh, they only do it at the end? Great, let's work on it at the end position. Okay, so you have to understand where sounds occur in words. So, hmm, what is the first sound you hear in the word giraffe? Giraffe. Okay, that's our j sound. J. Oh, see, and that's our j sound. I see that we wrote, okay, so I have a couple of people who responded in a great way. Let me just fix this. It should be j is the answer. There you go. Now I see that we had one g, so that would be g raf, right? And then this one, if we write it like the English letter J, remember that's y. So that would be giraffe, right? So this is one I was hoping we'd get some incorrect answers just so we could have a teaching moment. This is a j sound, giraffe, j, not giraffe or giraffe, j, giraffe. Any questions on that one? What is the last sound you hear in the word sick? Good job. Is our last sound in sick. I feel my voice is not on, and I can feel that sound all the way in the back. It's not incorrect to write it without your transcribing slashes, but when you do write it, it does mean that you're doing the sound, not the letter. When you write it without your transcribing slashes, it's the letter. So that would be the letter K versus saying K. Oh. What is the last sound you hear in the word bus? Hmm. Bus. Bus. Correct answer is did this one so you know we're not always trying to trick you and make you think all that hard. Really feel your articulators, right? You know what happened? I don't. But that was our last one. I'm gonna need to work on my skills with that one. But overall, let me stop sharing. Those are the activities on the quiz this week, right? So I wanted to make sure we had some time to go over them so you're not surprised when you open up the quiz and you're like, oh my God. There will also be some sentences written in phonetic transcription. It's not scary. It's okay. Think about those sounds and sound it out as you go. Think about the fact that they're all real words that have to make sense together as well. Okay. Those are our big things this week. Let me know if you have any questions. Overall, I'm always available via Messenger or the messages in the course. I can see your submission messages now, so I I'm available that way. I love talking about all of this, so anything that you do need, I'm here for.